Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contractor Grow Show. My name is Mark. I'm the host. And today I'm speaking with Jacob Maupin, a third generation company, Maupin Homes in McCall, Idaho. Jacob, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you've got a great story, and I just love what I've been learning about Maupin Homes. Third generation, started by your grandfather. Maybe we could start just by hearing a little bit about the history of the business and where things are at today.
Yeah, so actually Maupin Homes was started by my dad. So we're second generation.
Okay.
He started Maupin Homes back in the late 80s. He had been a framing contractor all of his life, and just kind of naturally moved into home building. So I'd been around, kind of every aspect of this trade since I was a kid. From a young boy, he'd bring me on the job sites. As I got older into high school on summer breaks, I'd work for a bunch of his different subcontractors, framing, well drilling, landscaping, trim work, pretty much all of the stuff. So he'd had Maupin Homes going for a long time. I graduated high school in 2002, joined the Air National Guard as an A-10 crew chief. When I came home from my service there, he hired me on as a superintendent, and that's really where, I started learning the home building aspect of everything. Let's see, he ran Maupin Homes until 2008, 2009, right after the crash happened, and decided, hey, I want to go ahead and retire. At that point, I wasn't quite sure that I wanted to take on a home building company with the way everything was going. So I ventured out, did a couple other jobs, went back to college at Boise State University and got a finance degree. I had been working started as a teller, then a banker, then I was a commercial loan officer for a while. And back in 2000, I guess it probably would have been about 2016, 17, he was like, dude, he'd come out of retirement. He was working up at Brundage at the ski resort in the tune shop, and building was really going crazy up here. So everybody was like, Fred, why are you not building homes? So he kind of started getting back into it, and, him and I have always been close, and he's just like, man, just come back, come back and get this going here again with me. So I ended up leaving banking, leaving Boise, moved up to McCall, got back into business with him, and we really just, kind of expanded and took off from there. He retired, it's been about 4 years ago now, and I took over the company solely. So me and my wife run it now. She does all the interior design work for us, meeting with clients and helping pick out finishes and all of that kind of stuff. So that's really, I guess, kind of the story of how I got to where I'm at now.
Man, fantastic. So, you started your career path, Air National Guard, as A-10 crew chief, as you said. I learned that having that experience in the military, maybe helped with, running the business. Bringing military discipline, attention to detail, kind of system thinking. Is that right? How did your kind of career in the military help you in business and the different areas you've been?
Yeah, exactly. I think my career in the military, two of the big things was service before self and then attention to detail. In this industry, building custom homes like we do, you have to have a lot of attention to what you're doing. We're not just a track home builder. A lot of the stuff we do deals with, a lot of steel, big, heavy timbers, can be pretty intricate. So really having an eye for that, paying attention to giving, your customers a really high quality level, definitely spawned from military days. And then, putting your client first, building a home, let's be honest. That can be very stressful. It's expensive. There's a lot of emotions. Timelines change, who knows what could happen during that process. So really staying tuned in with your client, putting your client before yourself, and really concentrating, on how you're going to take care of them, I think is ultimately extremely important and something I definitely bring from my military days.
Awesome. So, you said you had a stint as a banker, you got a bachelor's degree in finance. How did kind of working in the banking industry, being commercial loan officer, kind of stepping away from the business for a while and learning kind of another industry, did that kind of add any value to the work that you do now?
I think absolutely. A big aspect of this is finances. We give people a number up front. We are a cost plus builder. I can't control everything, but having a good faith estimate that is pretty tuned into what you think that cost is going to be is extremely important. I do know numbers well. I can crunch numbers well. And I think also along those lines, just understanding, like when it comes to building spec homes and stuff like that, your return on investments. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that factor into this. So having a greater knowledge of the finance world as well, I think definitely plays a big part in building a home for people.
Got it. Yeah, it seems like it. I'm curious, we're the Contractor Grow Show here. We're always interested in learning how builders are kind of getting their word out there and also how they're doing sales, kind of the sales process. I mean, I get the sense you guys have got a tight sales process just from hearing, listening to you and some of your background and stuff. Selling projects is a cost plus, right? Mm-hmm. Where, a lot of times they're sort of, quoted and bids or whatever. Is there any friction or status that comes up with that? And I mean, how do you overcome that? And how do you kind of sell that way of quoting projects, saying, look, there's a lot of variables here. We're going to, here's how we're structuring this. Are clients completely amenable to that? Or do you have to kind of explain that some in the sales process?
Oh yeah, that's probably one of the most difficult parts up front. We get asked all the time, what's your cost per square foot? And it's like, well, I don't know. Are you trying to build a Prius or are you trying to build a Ferrari?
Right.
That's such a difficult question to answer. And I know the home that I build, so I can tell people, hey, roughly for what, you can see on Facebook or my website, what I can build, this is roughly like where my costs are going to fall. But really trying to step away from that number, the cost per square foot, without even giving that number to somebody, really trying to dial in, what kind of home are you trying to build? What kind of finishes are you looking for? So that can definitely be difficult up front, because some people, they just, even when you try and discuss that, they're like, I don't care. I don't want to go down that road. I just need to know your cost per square foot. So that can definitely be a hurdle trying to get over or to get away from showing your value to people. Because a lot of times people don't really understand, if I tell somebody, hey, the home I'm going to build you is going to be 600 a square foot, that can blow a lot of people's minds. Down in the valley, down in Boise, 2 hours away, they could probably get a similar home for, $300 or $400 a square foot. So trying to explain to them what you get from that is difficult, because people don't understand. I use like Energy Seal insulation package. It's an extremely well insulated house. The moisture barriers, all the things that we go through. When a lot of people think of a roof system, maybe they're just thinking, a standard 20-year shingle. Well, I'm using a seamed standing seam metal roof with a snow rail system. So really knowing your product as well and explaining to people, look, this is why I use this in a snow mountain country. These are why we use these processes. This is why I use these products. And that's why they're going to cost more than you may be used to from wherever it is that you're from. So yeah, that's a difficult part of the business is getting past that initial, sometimes shock. Sometimes people are like, oh, cool. That's great. Let's move forward without question. But more often than not, I would say people are, definitely, they're stuck on that cost per square foot number.
Gotcha. And I mean, you have a realty company, right? I mean, you're Maupin Realty, correct? You're the owner realtor with that?
Yep. So I did get my real estate license. I actually have it on a hold status right now. Once my dad retired, I was so concentrated on home building and so busy with it that it was difficult to do both. During COVID, it was the wild, wild west around here. We had so many folks from out of state coming in. So it was very beneficial helping those people find land and build a home, help them maybe sell a vacation home they had up here already and build something new. So I was really concentrated on that. I've stepped away from the real estate side. Just, I've got a wife and 4 kids as well. So I've only got so much time in the day, and it just made sense for me to concentrate on home building, because that's, really where my passion's at.
Yeah. Well, interesting to be so vertically integrated. I mean, with the banking background that you have, having a real estate license, having, been in that whole space as well, and also building homes. And when we talk about kind of cost per square foot, I mean, that's obviously a factor for home, sales as well. But being able to look at all of those different aspects, like the finishes and everything else, that it sounds like that's really helpful for, that as well, potentially is helpful in your home building career as well.
Yeah, knowing that market is definitely helpful. A lot of people will look for homes up here. McCall is an expensive market. It's a resort market. We've got two really large ski resorts right next to us, a beautiful lake. It's absolutely gorgeous up here. So people could, be looking for a home up here that was built in the 80s or 90s that have never been updated, and that home could be selling for $800 a square foot, and being able to explain to people, hey, I can build you a brand new home, for even less than you would get this older home for, is really beneficial to be able to understand all those different aspects of the markets up here.
Amazing. Fantastic. And then, regarding kind of you guys kind of outreach and things, I mean, do you guys do any type of outreach, I mean, any type of billboards or radio or any type of digital stuff, or does everything you guys do just kind of grow organically from like word of mouth?
I do kind of a mix of both. I do run some radio ads down in the Boise Valley. I can't say I've ever got a bill job from it, but kind of getting the word out there. We do have, like our Instagram, Facebook. We run ads in the McCall chamber up here. They have a Visit McCall magazine that we do. I do quite a bit of sponsorships as well. I, sponsor the kids' ski races up here at the Brundage Mountain Resort. Stay really involved and active in the community. I would say there's a lot of people in this town, that know the Maupin name, have working with real estate agents and everybody else as well. We definitely get a lot of referrals, people just saying, hey, Jacob's a great guy. He built a great product, reach out to him. And I would say, customer relationships as well, too. Just getting referrals from clients we built homes with when they have a friend that's looking at wanting to build something, or, talking to somebody, hey, but Jacob built my house for me. Maupin Homes is great. Reach out to them. I think having those relationships with your clients, making sure clients are happy and you're building a wonderful product that they're really happy with, is kind of sales in itself. Other than that, we don't do, any direct calling or email marketing or anything like that. So more than anything, probably a lot of word of mouth with some advertising involved.
Got it. Fantastic. And then, I mean, your kind of geographic area, I mean, you guys kind of in the Brundage, sort of McCall area, you guys get down to Boise at all?
I am, mainly Valley County, Cascade, Donley, McCall, and over into the Meadows side. We stay, kind of right around in this area. I'm big on using local subcontractors. Almost all of my subcontractors are local guys who live in this area. So for us to be traveling down to Boise to do work down there is, going to be difficult. Then you're trying to house them somewhere and do things like that. Not to say I wouldn't take on a build job down there if I had one, that came my way, but we stay busy up here. So, mainly our area and this right around here.
Sure. Great story, man. I love your background, all the different aspects of things have you done over the years. I think it's cool that you actually left the family business and like had, went out and had kind of a career over there and then came back to it. Mm-hmm. You and your dad talked about it, and I love the idea of kind of bringing back, experience from another industry and applying that to this, and then being kind of vertically integrated at, numerous levels. So, I mean, you got 4 kids, you guys are kind of in a tight area. I mean, you guys actually looking to grow here the next few years, or are you guys kind of in a stable place with exactly where you're at now?
No, we're, I'm always looking for growth. I think that's an important part of life, always trying to get bigger and better. We're in a great spot. I'm not going to complain at all about where we're at.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm always looking to do more, to take on more stuff, get more well-versed, I guess, in different kinds of projects. I would love to start, looking at getting into like more spec homes, development opportunities, maybe some bigger commercial projects, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm always open to growth. That's something that doesn't scare me, and I think something that's important to strive for.
Fantastic. Well, great story, Jacob. I love the second generation, quality of the business. I mean, if folks are looking to get in touch with you guys, if they're in Valley County, Idaho, in the Brundage area or surrounding, they're looking for, a great company that's been in business for a long time, really knows their stuff, and or if someone's looking even to kind of join your team or be a subcontractor with you guys, what are a couple of the best ways to get in touch with you guys?
We have an office here right in downtown McCall. It's right next to Father's Place, which is probably the best burger. Well, it is the best burger joint we have in town. We're right next to Crawford Olson Real Estate here. So I've got an office in town. I am out and about a lot, but I've got information on the front door, an email, shoot me a phone call. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So if people are looking to build or job opportunities, stuff like that, yeah, come see me at the office or give me a buzz.
Fantastic. Also, their website is maupinhomes.com. So that's
Yep.
MAUPIN homes.com. You can find all of their contact information there, or downtown McCall, right next to the Best Burger Joy. What's the name of that place again?
It's called My Father's Place.
Got it. If I'm in McCall, I'm gonna have to stop by there. Love a good burger.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for taking the time today. Great talking with you, and wishing you the best here in 2026 and beyond.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.